Well, I've basically been banned from everything. I'm gonna try to post this to our Redding. I hope the mods understand. I'm saying this from the point of view of someone living in Reading. I have nothing to get attention for, nothing to advertise for. I'm just someone that's been from here my entire life, and I think I've proved that. Alright, so I have basically lost my ability to speak in this town through the internet, and that's because in the last, I don't know, few weeks, maybe a month now, ever since I started talking publicly about the Trump Epstein stuff, through whatever reasons, I've lost my Facebook, my Instagram, my TikTok. It was like it just all got taken away. I was even banned from Reddit for 7 days for harassment, for posting a picture of Trump with Diddy. So it's kind of blowing my mind. What is like the biggest issue? Because I'm looking at it from the perspective of someone who has been dealing with these local Reading, Shasta County socio-political issues for like a long time now. Like I don't have to fucking tout myself. I've been in the news fucking so many times. I've been just talked about a lot, when I wasn't trying for that. It's just what that tells me. It's not really about me. It's about the fact that I was talking about things that a lot of people resonated with. And what that means is people care about a certain issue. And if I'm just the one who's talking about it, it doesn't mean that I'm the reason they care. They care because someone's talking about the issue they care about. And one of the biggest issues, I think, affecting this county and this city and the entire country is the way people perceive the First Amendment and the way that has been attacked in a non-discriminatory way, and I feel like people on both sides, let's just say the left and the right, I know there's other things, but most people can kind of be categorized in either to the left or the right. That's just how it is. That's why we have a two-party system. That's the basis of democracy. So that is what it is. People on the left, I know for a fact, myself included, feel like we have had our freedom of speech be trampled on. And we feel like a lot of that is because we're saying things about the right that they don't like, or we're exposing them for something, or we're just, arguing about something that somebody else on another side of socio-political ideologies doesn't like. And I've also learned, because I grew up here in this red county like my whole life, that people on the right feel the same fucking way. They feel the same way. They feel like they're always being attacked too. Now, I will say, and this may sound biased, but it's also goddamn true, people on the right are so much more sensitive when it comes to certain things. Like, that's gotta be something, that's one of the things that blows my mind about people on the right that are like, what I grew up seeing as like the tough cowboys, and they are such snowflakes about so many things, and it's like, makes it make more sense why they were so adamant to call us the snowflakes, when Trump first started running, like, fuck your feelings, snowflakes. It was projection, and we've seen how much projection has happened from the right. And that is a huge difference that I absolutely have to say is a fact. Just these dudes that just pretend that they're the biggest fucking toughest dudes in town, and they'll do all this shit to you, and they'll send you death threats, and they got fucking stickers of guns on their lifted trucks. Like, literally 9 times out of 10, these dudes are fucking cowards, and so they project and they have to put on a big face. And what I wish is if these dudes that are like this felt a way where they didn't have to pretend to be something that they're not. Like, that would be ideal, right? Like, they don't have to pretend to be tougher than they are, or be so like offensive and be like, oh, I have guns, don't you dare come on my property. If you can read this sign, you're in range. I'm gonna fucking kick your ass, bro. Like, that's just been so much of Reading. And when it comes to freedom of speech, I think that when people are having discussions and arguments and putting their own personal opinions out there, the First Amendment says that everybody has the right to freedom of speech. It does not specify what you can and can't say. Nothing in the First Amendment specifies what you can and can't say. That's where laws come into play. They wrote the Constitution, and then people who were put into authority according to the Constitution, so this is constitutional, made the decision that certain things being said can now break a law and you can suffer consequences for it. But that is not unconstitutional. See what I'm saying? And so this is a very limited set of things, though. Like, you can't just defame someone. Like, you can't just go out into the public and have no proof of anything and just say as a fact that someone did something that they didn't do. That is against the law. That's against the law. It is also against the Constitution because the people that made those laws were appointed under the Constitution, and they were constitutionally appointed or elected. So the laws that they create have to also be considered constitutional unless they conflict with other laws or other parts of the Constitution. And so freedom of speech, you can't just, like I said, defame somebody. You cannot issue a death threat. And like, here's the thing with speech. We have mouths and vocal cords. You can physically say whatever you want. But the biggest consequence to freedom of speech is other people's freedom of speech as well. So, like, you can't just walk up to somebody and be like, I'm going to, you. That is a criminal threat. That is a criminal threat. Now, no, it doesn't say in the Constitution that you can say whatever you want except for making death threats. But that's why they put the other amendments in, the other parts of the Bill of Rights that explain how the Constitution allows for people to be put in power so that they can create the laws to regulate society. Okay? That's what the Constitution means. And so one thing I think is a huge problem is the censorship of our First Amendment. So people are getting banned off of social media all the time, like me, but I also know there's so many other people. There's a whole Reddit subreddit about people who get banned from social media accounts, and they're just like, all I did was this. But it's like, at some point in history, we as a society handed over the keys to our First Amendment to Silicon Valley billionaires running social media companies. And now we can't really find our way out of that. So I think that people should just be able to say whatever they want as long as it doesn't break the law. And the consequence to that is the fact that other people can use their First Amendment to respond to it. So if you say something that is absolutely horrible, hateful, bigoted, whatever, just totally horrible, you should not get banned for saying it. But nobody else who responds to it, responds to you based off of what you said, should get banned either. And if that means you get famous for being a piece of shit and that ruins your life, I think that's how it should be. So, everyone should have freedom of speech under the Constitution and under the law. But when you say everyone should have freedom of speech, you are not safe from everyone else's freedom of speech in response. That's the point. All right, I'm gonna shut the fuck up.